Hello there and welcome to another episode in my home studio series. My name is Bo and this is Bo Beats. Before we get into today's topic, I want to start off with a disclaimer. I'm not here to tell you or anybody to downsize their studio. You won't see me preaching minimalism in this video because that's such a boring trend on YouTube. I'm just falling asleep thinking about it. Let's face it, we all enjoy different things. If you're enjoying having a small studio, that's awesome, that's great for you. If you enjoy having tons of gear around you, that's awesome, great for you. But it's about what works for you in the end. Your art won't get better because you have less stuff or more stuff. It's all up to you, your preferences, and finding this out for yourself. It's about your journey as a creative, as an artist, and not about following some current trend of minimalism or just having a super clean looking, nice looking studio. Like, those are not the answers to the question of how to make better art. And having a ton of gear won't solve it for you either. It's about your journey. So with all of that being said, this is the first video in a new series about my home studio and the joys and the struggles surrounding it. So today we are exploring 5 reasons why a big home studio might be a bad idea. 5 reasons why you should keep it small. 5 reasons why size can equal problems for you. But let me spoil something for you. This series here won't end with me downsizing. Because while minimalism is so hot right now, I should put it in the title just to get more clicks, my studio is not a part of my path to some kind of enlightenment and balance. It's a source of frustration and joy and materialism and just good old-fashioned fun. And I don't want to sit here and pretend that the size of my studio has anything to do with living a meaningful life. For me to explore that topic, meaningful life, I would go off YouTube, read some books and reflect on life. So with this all being said, I hope you're interested in following my little home studio series. There will be at least 4 episodes. This is the first. There will be one where I'm building my home studio, a third where I'll explore how everything's connected, the audio routings, and then a 4th where I'll go over all the MIDI sync stuff, how I'm actually syncing all of these synths together into one big monster. And let me be super honest, I do enjoy owning stuff for the sake of owning it, but I also release music over on iTunes and Spotify. I just dropped a couple of new tracks there. So, therefore, this video is sponsored by distrokid.com. It's the service I use to get my tracks onto Spotify and iTunes and other outlets. So go and check it out, linked in the description. When I first got this studio space, it was back in 2014 and it looked wildly different. It has since evolved quite a lot. I have one of the most fun jobs / hobbies. I get to test a lot of music equipment, which means that things are changing a lot. This does get in the way of me actually having an easy way to make music because my setup is always changing. What I've really learned is that the more gear I have, the more time I have to spend setting it up, taking care of it, dusting it, doing firmware updates, just simply taking care of all these cool things. Not to mention learning them, which takes a ton of time. So that's a very strong reason not to have too much stuff, because it does take away from the time you'll have actually creating music. And if you listen to people that truly work professionally with music production, what they often tell you is that they use templates, they use stuff like splice, where sounds and loops are easy accessed, because this speeds up the process. And speed is an important part of being productive. Not having too many roadblocks that get in the way of getting stuff done. And in this very series, I'll address the problem of it being time consuming by actually creating focused setups here in my room that will help me get stuff done quicker with less fiddling about, changing synths and settings. So hopefully I'll manage to find some balance there between having all this stuff and being productive. You'll find out in a future episode. Reason number 2 to keep it small is that having a lot of choice can actually equal stress. Where to start? When you have a ton of things, just getting started can be quite annoying, stressful, frustrating. Should I start with this piece or this piece? And this is something, just like I said previously, that a lot of professionals handle by having very set workflows that they don't change too much, because that would get in the way and making them stressed. Where should I start today? Instead, they make the start simple by having a template or some procedure that they follow in order to get started. So too many things equals choices, and it can equal stress, and some people suffer from this a lot. Reason number 3 to keep it small is cable management, because it's frankly a pain in the, it's frankly very annoying to deal with all the cabling issues, and bundled with the cables is the problem of noise, because when you add additional pieces of equipment, you have to connect it together. And what can happen when you connect stuff together? Because ultimately it's current, it's electricity. You can get hum and noise and glitching and stuff. I thought I'd solve a problem by getting an ADAT expansion, just to realize that because the ADAT expansion I'm using is not super high quality, it was actually getting a lot of electrical interference from my crappy electricity in my building, so I had to fix that. So you see how adding one piece of equipment can actually create additional problems. So with a lot of stuff comes complicated cable setups, MIDI routings, patch bays and whatnot, and you have to decide for yourself if that's something you want to get into. Because ultimately, if you have a lot of stuff, you'll probably need to figure out some smart way of connecting everything so it doesn't get in the way of being productive. So you can solve it, but it does require a lot of effort in my experience. Reason number 4 to keep it nice and tight is actually overlooked very easily, and that is ergonomics. Because adding more hardware means more challenging ergonomics. So this means that you'll have to spend more time and money often in buying new studio furniture, expanding your setup. You might even need a larger space, a room, or even dedicated space for it, the more stuff you have, because you ultimately don't want to sit and make music and have back pains and shoulder pains. And this is actually something to consider when you're adding on stuff and not removing something. You'll need a larger and larger desk in order to sit comfortably, and you have to maybe have stands of various kinds to get that to work out. And I'll actually show you some of how I handle it in a future episode, but there's really not an easy way around it. I feel that oftentimes more stuff just equals worse ergonomics. There's always a trade-off somewhere there. Lastly in this video, I want to talk about a reason which is quite emotional, and that is gear guilt. Feeling guilty over the fact that you have gear just sitting there not getting used. Now, gear guilt might seem like the biggest luxury problem ever, and to some extent it is a luxury problem. However, it's also something to really keep in mind and take seriously, because if it is getting in the way of you achieving what you want to achieve, you creating the music or art you want to create, then it's something to reflect upon and see if you can do something about. Because why have a lot of stuff if it's just getting in the way of you expressing what it is you want to express, creating what you want to create? So take gear guilt seriously. If you're suffering from it, do something about it. What I did to handle gear guilt was actually to simply give away some stuff that I didn't use. So I had a big giveaway earlier this year. But even more importantly, I reached out on Facebook if there were any local music producers. I was kind of looking for somebody young, starting out, that wanted to inherit my old setup, my studio monitors, the Samsung Resolves that I used for ages, a Focusrite interface that was still working perfectly fine. And I was so happy to find a local guy that really needed them. So yeah, that made my day. Now, as you might have figured out already, all of these problems are things that I suffer from personally too, and this series will be sort of about correcting them a little bit. So in the next episode, you'll see me build a new studio setup, because I did need to sort some stuff out with my current one. Even though I have a lot of cool stuff, I really needed more workspace, more dedicated setups. For example, working with software, working with Machina, which is my go-to setup. So that's in episode number 2. Then in episode number 3, you'll see me go over my audio routings, trying to create a big setup over here that I'll, not change it that much, where the audio routings are flexible, so I can record whatever synth I want or add effects. Yeah, all of that good stuff. So that's in episode number 3. And in episode number 4, I'll go over the MIDI routings, because that's something that confused me a lot when I started making my studio a couple of years back, and I think it confuses some of you all. So hopefully I'll be able to shed some light on that. Now, since you're all here because you're music producers and music lovers, I'm sure you want to go and check out my track Backlash that I released using distrokid.com. So let me talk a little bit about how easy it is to upload music using DistroKid. DistroKid is basically a subscription service that lets you upload unlimited amounts of music to Spotify, iTunes, and a bunch of other stores. I've actually been with DistroKid for years now, and I've always been very happy with their service. So when they wanted to sponsor my videos, I said, yeah, why not? That's awesome. So as you can see, I have a bunch of tracks here. Now to upload using it, it's very simple. You just log in, click upload, and once you've done that, you can see here, you have the different stores you can pick from. Basically, I just check everything. You can choose whether it's a single or multiple songs, the artist band name. With the basic subscription, you can have one, and with the more advanced and more expensive subscriptions, you can have multiple band names or artist names. It does check if you are already in iTunes or Spotify, so you can either make like a new artist account or connect it to some artist account that you have already uploaded to. Record label, I think this is also an advanced feature. Album cover, yeah, pretty much, yeah, very straightforward. Song title, then you just click upload down here, audio file, choose file, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You can also add multiple songwriters, and there's also a function where you can split the revenue from your music if you're one of the lucky few that can actually make some money with your music. But if you can, that's awesome. It's an option. And then you have some extra options that I don't really use. Yeah, I use Instagram and Facebook generally because it's kind of nice to have your music in your Instagram stories, but that's about it. Then you check all the boxes, click done, and it uploads. And my latest track, Backlash, got onto Spotify in 3 days. And oftentimes it takes about a week to get onto iTunes. Some stores take longer. I don't think this is on DistroKid's part though. I think it's just how these procedures work on how things are being handled on the service end of things. Big thank you to distrokid.com. They are sponsoring this series, making it possible for me to devote the time to it. So thank you so much for doing that, and I'll see you in the next video.